So, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this super fun call all about goals. So, we all know, and by the way, Happy New Year to all of you. I want to give a shout out to Krista. She was so sweet with the new time change. And thank you all for making the new time. With the new time change, she's not going to be able to come. So, I thought that was really sweet. She reached out to tell me that she really enjoys these, but won't be able to make them. So, thank you so much, Krista, and thank you to all of you
Hi, sweetie.
watching it. Oops, let me mute everybody so we have a clean recording. So we are going to talk about goals. This is the time, right? It's a really horrible time, actually, to start goals in the winter when it's cold and you're really sleepy, and really you should be honoring your body. I just had a really good friend, my friend of like 40 years, Michael, come and stay with me for the weekend. And he's really great with his body. He's very athletic, and he goes to sleep pretty much when the sun starts to go down. I mean, he'll stay up till like 9, but he's really tired and he sleeps until the sun comes up. So in Oregon here, the sun doesn't really come up until like almost 8 o'clock in the morning. So he was sleeping in, but it was a really good reminder that we have to honor our bodies, right? We have to get our sleep. So starting goals in the middle of winter isn't really, we should be starting our goals in the springtime. So I'm going to tell you before we even get started, be kind to yourself, be good to yourself, listen to your body. You don't like, if you're going to do an exercise routine, if you want to start working out for the New Year's, be good to yourself, because winter is the time when we're supposed to be dormant, right? Your body is supposed to go with the natural progressions of the seasons. So in winter, we're supposed to get tons and tons of sleep, like 9 to 10 hours. And then we're supposed to rest. And then spring comes. And then that's when we're supposed to be doing all of our cool goals and everything. So let's get into this. I want to tell you right now, I'm going to just start off with the reason why you're not successful right off the bat. And this is something that's scientifically proven. This is something that entrepreneurs talk about all the time. It's the number one reason why your goals fail. And that's because you have multiple goals. So the great example that I was reading, and I thought this was so perfect, especially for this group, is if you're training a dog, right? You're not going to go, okay, I want you to learn sit, stay, roll over, and all these different commands all at once. You're going to start slowly with a puppy, right? You're going to go, okay, I'm going to teach you sit and repetition, right? Repetition, repetition. You're going to give treats. That's going to be how you train a puppy. Well, that's the way we need to train ourselves to achieve our goal in the same way. We're not multitaskers, even though I love to pride myself on, I'm an excellent multitasker. We're really not good. You do a lot of different things. You've got a lot going on, but you're not doing any one of them well. So when we look at our goals, I want you to look at maybe you came today and you're like, okay, I have these goals and I want to see how I can achieve them. I want you to pick the one that is the most important to you, the one that really is that you're committed to, right? So like, let's say, I was thinking about this earlier. This is a really great example of you might have a goal, but it's not your driving force goal. Because one thing we want to do is we want to be committed to our goal. So my friend Mary, she's really tall. She's probably 6 foot and she's big boned and she's a bigger woman, but she's really happy with her weight. Although there's those occasions when she's trying on clothes or she's doing something where she's like, oh yeah, I really need to lose weight. But we had to talk about it. And she's like, well, I'm happy with where I am. I'm happy with my weight. So if she chose for her goal for this year, oh, I'm going to lose weight, that wouldn't be a great goal for her because she's really not committed to that goal. She's happy with the weight she's at. So picking a goal like losing weight or working out more probably isn't going to succeed for her. So when you think about your one goal, and I want you to just take a second and think about something you really, truly desire. Think about, am I really committed to that? So for me, and we're going to talk about why you do this, but I am going to announce to all of you to hold myself accountable. I am going to make it my highest priority to write blogs this year. Now, how many blogs? I don't know yet. But just to even write one blog would be a huge feat for me. And it's not because I'm not a good writer. It's not because I don't have a topic. You all know me. I mean, I could talk for days, right? It's just I have this mental block and I really want to work on this mental block. So my goal, and I'm sharing it with all of you so you can hold me accountable, is to blog this year. So the first and foremost thing that we need to do, that I have to do, that I've already done, we have to write down our goal. And I encourage you, please write it down, because you have a 42% chance of your goal coming to fruition if you write it down. Now, we're not going to write it down and then put it in a journal and put it away in a box. That doesn't work. When they talk about being successful by 42%, is you're going to keep your goal on your calendar, on your phone, on your to-do list every single day. And you're going to do one little thing towards that goal. But before we get to that, I want you to think about this goal. And we're going to do something that's a little bit different with goals, because you might think, okay, I want to lose weight. What I want you to do is I want you to look at your goal, whatever that is, or think about it. You don't have to look at it if you don't have it written down. And I want you to think about the whys behind that goal. So I was reading a really interesting story from an excerpt from Dan Heath's book called Reset. And it was really cool. It was about a woman who had really serious health challenges. And her initial goal that she set was to get fit, to spend time with her children. So she wanted to be healthy so she could spend time with her children, and all of her everyday activities, even just like getting up, doing dishes, whatever, they left her breathless. I mean, her heart rate would spike to 180 even when she was resting. So it was really hard for her, to have that goal. Oh, I want to get fit. I want to spend more time. So she had to ask herself, and this is what I encourage you to do. Why does your goal matter? Why does your goal matter to you? And for her, her goal mattered because she wanted to be the best mom. She was from the UK. She wanted to be the best mom ever and model living her best life. But there were ways that she could get that without necessarily having to achieve that bigger goal of, oh, I want to be healthy so I can be the best mother, right? She created some creative solutions, which I'm going to encourage you to do as well. And we're going to do an exercise in a minute, but I want you to think about your goal and think about your why. And we're going to go deeper with our why. So I'll get into that in a minute and I'll finish her story. So what she did was she found different solutions to make that goal come true for her. So she started to create a family, time every night where even though she couldn't really move around, the kids could and her husband could. So they would play games and somebody would roll the dice for her. Or if they were building something with Legos, she would tell them where she wanted the Legos to go. And so she was able to create that goal of spending more quality time with her family without achieving the goal of getting fit first or getting healthy first, right? So maybe your goal is I want to be an animal Reiki teacher, right? And so you're like, okay, that's my goal. I want to be an animal Reiki teacher. So your first why is, why do you want to become an animal Reiki teacher? Well, I want to be able to share animal Reiki with others. Okay, that's a great why. But what is your deeper why? You ask yourself, okay, but what else? Well, then maybe it's to help animals find more peace, right? And so that's another why. And I really encourage you, ask yourself at least 3 to 5 whys, because it's going to help you really mine for the gold of why you want your goal. And that's important because you might find it's I don't want this goal at all. I actually want a different goal. So another question you could ask, so you're asking yourself, why do you want to be an animal Reiki teacher? To share animal Reiki with others, to help more animals find peace. And then another why could be, well, I want to create lasting positive change in animal welfare, right? That may be something that you're really like maybe you're vegan. I know like Carolyn's on the call, and Carolyn writes these amazing books that you can find them on Amazon. And oh God, I wish I would have had mine because I have a stack of them and I don't. Oh, do I have one here? Oh, I do. Oh my gosh. Why? Sorry, everybody. I want to give, oh no, I don't. I want to give Carolyn a shout out. They're all about like little stories of how to help animals, but they're told to as a children's book, and they're really just sweet and not like in your face. Oh, you shouldn't drink like cow milk, because it's harmful to the dairy industry or to the dairy cows. She goes about how you can start adding almond milk and all these things. So for her, she found a way to support animals that didn't necessarily involve becoming an animal Reiki teacher, right? She wrote these children's books. She's very creative and artistic. And so her name is Carolyn Drew. If you want to check her out, they're on Amazon. She has some about tigers, which she gave me one and I love it. And there's one about the dairy cows. And so there's all different ones, and they're all written with her rescue dog, Roscoe, being kind of the superhero of the story. And they're just amazing. So that's like an alternative path that she could take in order to support animals, right? If animal welfare was her goal initially, she found a way to support animals and to share their struggles and their stories in a beautiful, creative way. So when you're thinking about being an animal Reiki teacher, you can think about different ways you can get closer to that path without going, okay, I'm going to take an animal Reiki teacher class. Now I'm going to have the pressure of going out and teaching. And I don't even really necessarily feel that motivated or that confident to do that. So other things you could do, you could offer really short little workshops, like an hour workshop, because an official animal Reiki certification course is about 16 hours. Or even if like it's an animal communication, you want to be an animal communication teacher or any type of teacher, you're going to have for your certification courses longer classes, right? So maybe you start by offering shorter workshops, or you go to your shelter and say, hey, I would love to do an intro or teach people how to sit with animals and do breathing, right? Because if you are a Let Animals Lead practitioner, you know all about the easy ways you can sit with an animal and create peace just by with your breath, by with your thoughts, by with affirmations, whatever that is. There's ways that you can help the shelter staff and volunteers. You can mentor new practitioners, right? With your experience, you can create community healing circles. You can create educational content. I mean, that's something that is really important, right? People love little guidebooks or infographics. You could do that to start teaching. So when you look at your goal, look at it, ask your whys, why you want to do it. And that's really important. You have to know your why, because your why is going to be your motivator. Without a why, you won't be motivated. So like for Mary, her why isn't that strong. To lose weight isn't that strong. She doesn't feel that strongly, but she might feel strongly just about feeling healthier in her body. So different ways she could do that is she could not eat as much sugar, like maybe have a sugar-free Sunday. Or you can do something like, I'm going to go meatless Mondays, or I'm going to walk at least 20 minutes 3 times a week, whatever that is for you. If your goal is to lose weight, go deeper with that and see what your why is, because your why might be as simple as, I just want to feel a little better in my body, or I just want to feel a little healthier, or I just want to feel stronger. So for me, even though I said you're not supposed to have more than one goal, I have a sub goal. My sub goal is just to get stronger and healthier. And that's just by me doing something really small. And we're going to talk about that in just a sec. But so really hone in on your why, because your why is going to keep you motivated and keep you going during tough times. It's very hard to stick to something. So and this is a while ago, and I'm so bummed I haven't been able to do it again, but it was almost 20 years ago. I didn't eat anything white for 2 years. So no sugar no refined sugar. I mean, I say I didn't eat anything white. It was actually more than that because I didn't eat any flour products. So even wheat, nothing. I went completely gluten-free. And back then, there weren't a lot of gluten-free offerings. So strictly no gluten. So a lot of carbs were just out. I ate a lot of vegetables. I didn't eat any sugar. And what else did I knock out? There was no white rice, no rice at all. Every once in a while I'd have brown rice, but really no rice at all. So a lot of carbs out. Trust me, the first month was hard. It was so hard, but I had already cut out, to be honest, I had already cut out bread pretty much down to nothing but sourdough bread when I started. And I really wasn't into pasta anymore because I had slowly cut that out as well. But my why was my health. I was having these really bad rashes and I was feeling really achy. And so my why was my health. So the first month was really hard. The second month was a little bit easier, but there were like so many I want to sabotage myself moments. The first month was just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Second month, I'm doing it, but it hurts. By the end of the third month, I was feeling pretty good. And studies show it takes you like 11 to 12 weeks to really make a habit, an ingrained habit. And I was at 3 months. I think at 3 months, it was Christmas time. So I had survived Halloween and all the Halloween candy. I had survived Thanksgiving. And now it was Christmas. And I love to bake at Christmas. Baking is my jam. And so I was baking all kinds of cookies and brownies and all kinds of cakes and everything and pies. And I didn't lick the spoon. I was just able to do it and not feel anything. Because I think I started in September. So it was most of September, October, November. And by the time Christmas was rolling around, baking season, I was okay. I went to Italy the spring after that. I didn't eat pasta. I didn't eat bread. And I didn't feel like I was missing out at all because I was eating other things. So I went with my family. There was like 10 of us. And they were all eating pasta and bread and everything. And I didn't. And I didn't feel like I was losing out. So when you go to do your goal, just know those first 3 months are going to be challenging. And you want to set yourself up for success. So I'm going to give you 3 different pathways to success. I mean, you should use all of them, but if you can't, just use at least one. These are scientifically proven. And one of the very first one is called MVE. And it's, Tiny Habits. It's BJ Fogg. He has a great book called Tiny Habits. I think he has another book out where he talks about MVE, which is minimum viable effort. So what BJ is talking about in this, he wants you to make your path to your goal tiny, like super tiny. So for instance, one of the examples that BJ Fogg gives in his book, Tiny Habits, is let's say you want to start working out. Okay. You want to go start going to the gym. That's your big thing. I want to go to the gym in 2025. And he says, start by just pulling your sneakers out of the closet. That's it. Every day at the same time, pull your tennis shoes out of the closet. That is literally it. He wants you to make it so small that small habit becomes ingrained in you after a week or two. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to put my shoes on now. I have them out. I'm going to put them on, right? You feel the motivation. You start to feel the momentum when you start really super small. So by just pulling out your tennis shoes, or let's say you want to enhance your Animal Reiki practice, right? Like maybe you don't do the precepts every day and you really want to start doing that. Then you just have the precepts next to your bed and you just look at them and go, oh yeah, the precepts. You don't have to say them. You don't have to do them. Nothing. You just have that visual reminder. Yes, that's it. You want to start so teeny tiny that it just becomes super easy for you. So even if you're going to start a meditation practice or you want to start meditating with animals more, just do one breath. Sit with your dog. Okay, I'm done, right? You can do that. But the important thing is you have to make it consistent. That is the underlying rule here. It has got to be consistent. When you make it consistent, when you make it repetitive, it becomes a habit for you. So the reason this works is your brain loves small wins. Hello, social media, right? We're constantly, dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. That's why these tiny things help you to build confidence through a simple success of, oh, I pulled my shoes out, or, oh, I sat with my dog and did a breath. You have to do this for at least 5 to 7 days. And if it's not feeling like it's super easy and you want to go on, keep doing it. And there's another reason you want to do this too. Like, so let's say for me, I want to write a blog too. So my tiny habit for my blog, and I haven't really put a lot of thought into this, but let's just say my tiny habit for my blog is just looking at the videos that we've recorded in these Wednesday sessions to get a topic. And maybe I just open up YouTube every day and just to the playlist, and that's it. And that's my tiny habit, right? If after 5 days, I am still struggling to like do it, if I'm like, oh, it's on my list, but do I do it? And remember, you've got to write it down. You've got to make it something write it down somewhere. I have to-do lists, so it's really easy for me to be reminded, but maybe for you, it's putting a Post-it on your bathroom mirror. You have to remind yourself of your goal, your super teeny tiny step to your goal, right? And so doing that creates momentum. But let's say I'm doing my blog and I look at it, and like literally after 2 going on 3 weeks, I'm just not, I just don't feel it. Then I'm going to change. I'm going to really look at my goal and say, well, why do I want to write blogs? Maybe blogs aren't the pathway to what I really want. So for me, writing blogs would give me legitimacy, right? So I know what I'm talking about. I'm doing blogs, I'm referencing experts, this kind of thing. I could get that through being on podcasts. Maybe that would be a better thing for me. So when you're looking at your tiny steps, don't get upset with yourself if you're like, I'm just not feeling this. This isn't. You want to just stop and relook at, okay, what's my goal? What's my whys for my goal? And what do I need to do? Maybe it's a different tiny habit that you need to do. So always be really mindful of what you're feeling, what you're doing. And when you do the tiny steps, so let's say I open up YouTube and I am feeling good about it. You've got to celebrate it. And the reason for this is because dopamine will enforce the habit. Hello, social media again, right? We go on social media because it increases our dopamine. We get excited. We laugh. I have some channels that I love to go to because they make me laugh so hard. And one of them is called Strig Free and Joy. And they're these really bad magicians, but the tricks are so bad that they're hysterical. And they just bring so much joy even to the people around them that are watching these horrible magic tricks. And so I watch it and I get so much joy out of it, which is kind of bad because then it keeps me like literally a half an hour later, I'm like, oh my God, I'm watching these silly videos. But it's the same thing for your tiny habits. If you celebrate, if I go to YouTube and I go, okay, I did it. I looked at YouTube. YouTube. And you have to really celebrate, right? You have to go, yay me, I did it. Make sure you do that, right? Give yourself props for doing that tiny habit. And trust me, I've been doing tiny habits for, oh my God, like probably 5 years when I want to start something new. Like if I want anything to become a habit, I do tiny habits. And it feels so stupid to celebrate a super small win. But I'm telling you, it is literally the thing that will keep you going. Because you're like, okay, good, I did that. If when I wanted to start getting up at 5 a.m, it was so hard at first. But every time I did, I would just celebrate. And pretty soon it just became a habit. Of course, I didn't start off with 5 o'clock. I started going backwards by 5 minutes, right? So I would normally get up at 6. I got up at 5:55 for a week. And then it was 5:50. And it just gets easier and easier and easier until I think the last time when it was like at 5:15, I just went, I'm just going to get up at 5, right? Because I'm getting used to it. And you can start progressing faster than 5 days. So like, let's say you do your small thing and you're like, well, this is good. This is great. But I actually want to add a little bit more. So I go to my YouTube channel and I go, well, this is great. But this time I'm going to start looking, I'm going to write down topics. Okay. I'm going to make a list of topics. And then the important thing is don't make it too long. Don't make it more than like 5 minutes, because at first, until it becomes a nice, comfortable habit where you're not going to feel overwhelmed if you do it for 20 minutes for the next few days, you want to make sure that whatever habit you start to incorporate, you feel really comfortable with the time you're committed. So like, let's say one of the tiny habits about like going to the gym is you drive to the gym and you go in and then you walk out after 5 minutes. So let's say you go to the gym, you walk in and you're like, oh, I want to work out for 20 minutes. Totally fine. You can extend the length, but don't say, oh yeah, I'm ready to extend it until you truly are. Because maybe the next day you drive up, you go, oh my God, I don't want to stay at the gym for 20 minutes. And you really feel like driving away. You just say, no, I'm going to go for 5 minutes. I can walk in there for 5 minutes. And so be sure to rein yourself back. Don't stop doing it. Don't say, oh, I'm just going to give up. Just rein it back to the tiniest little bit of effort. That's so important because you want to make this repetitive. You want to make this a pattern. And once you make it a pattern, trust me, it's so easy to do anything. You are capable of doing anything when you start off small. And don't forget, you're setting yourself up for success. You're creating a foundation. So when you look at like for me, when I started off with Animal Reiki, and this is hand to God, I could not meditate for even 5 minutes. It was literally painful to do more than 2 minutes. Now, I didn't know about tiny habits back then, but intuitively I knew I'm going to give this up if I don't find a way to work around this. So my workaround was the precepts. I could recite the precepts. I could be with them. That was my meditation, right? I found a workaround and I was committed to it because my why of supporting the animals with Animal Reiki was so strong that I knew I had to find a way to make this work for me. And that's really what we're coming down to. It's right. You just want to find your why and find something that you can do that's small, that's going to help build you up. So now I can meditate for an hour and it seems like 5 minutes. Now, of course, this is how many years ago was that? At least 17 years ago when I learned Animal Reiki with Kathleen. So I think it was 2007. So, we're going on 18 years. It took a while. It took at least a year for me to start building my meditation muscle. I mean, it might have been a little less, but it really took me some time to get into that. So don't feel like, oh, in order for me to be, a master or a really incredible teacher, I have to do this super quick. You don't. The tiny steps are going to create a much stronger foundation than if you hurry and put things in place and then all of a sudden, a month or two in, everything collapses and then you feel like a failure, right? And then you go into the shame spiral and you start beating yourself up and then you lose momentum. And that's why goals fail, right? You start your goal and then you're like, oh, this is too hard. I'm just going to give up. And you don't even readdress it because then you're readdressing shame, right? So just keep the repetition. So the next really important step for making sure your goal is successful is set up your environment. Set up your environment for success. So for me, for blogging, I am going to have my desk completely cleared every night or every day after I'm done work. Because I've decided for me, doing my blogs in first thing in the morning, which, a lot of entrepreneurs say, get your hardest thing done first thing in the morning, eat the frog in the morning, which is a horrible analogy for this group. But there's a book called Eat That Frog, which is a very good book. But anyway, for me, it's my evening. So I'm going to have to make sure my desk is complete. Like after I'm done with my day, I'm going to have to make sure my desk is clean so that when I go to sit and do whatever little tiny habit it is for my blog, I am not shiny object. There's a squirrel, right? You've got to set yourself up. And the reason for this is willpower does not work. There are countless studies about how your willpower and to sit and think that, oh yeah, my willpower is going to get me through. It's not. Whoops. Oh my gosh. I feel really bad. Two people entered and I did not see this. And I am going to have to apologize profusely. I am so sorry, ladies. Joy and Sue, I did not see you, so I apologize for this. And we're right in the middle, so I really hope you can listen to the replay. But we're talking about how willpower doesn't work when it comes to setting your goals. There's a great book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and it was his first book, and it's about how he does all these scientific studies. He did all this research about how willpower won't work for you. So make sure that your physical space or whatever it is that you need to complete your goal is devoid of anything that's going to distract you. So if you're going to lose weight, you don't want your refrigerator and your cupboards filled with stuff that's going to sabotage your diet. You want to fill it with fresh vegetables or things like that. But if you're living with a family, like for me, when I gave up sugar and rice and white flour and all those things, I was raising my son Cody, and I was married, and my husband at the time and Cody, they ate whatever they wanted, right? So what we decided for me was to help me be successful. They hid things. So my ex-husband was a chef. He loved to cook with pasta. So he would just hide the pasta or wouldn't cook pasta when I was around. He would make alternatives for me. And then Cody really didn't eat that much. We didn't have a lot of bread in the house anyway, but he ate, like normal kids. So he would have junk food. So he learned, like, he had a special cupboard. I wouldn't go in the cupboard. We really tried to set things up so that I could be successful. Now, after 3 months, how I told you before, 3 months, you're not going to really feel the pain anymore. You really aren't. And so after 3 months, things can kind of go back to normal. So you can tell your family, hey, I need to do this for 3 months. And it's really nice to know that 3 months is kind of like the end of the struggle, because you're like, yeah, I can do something for 3 months. When you sit there and say, oh, this is going to take you 2 years or a year or however long you think in your head, don't do that to yourself. 3 months, even a month, getting through the month, it's like, oh my gosh, once you get through your first month, give yourself a huge celebration. The second month, again, even bigger celebration. And by month 3, you are just going to feel so good about yourself. So make sure that your environment is in alignment with your goal. You also want to have some time anchors, right? So you want to anchor, and BJ Fogg talks a lot about this in his book, Tiny Habits. It's a really great book. If you want to read a book about goal setting and doing it in very tiny increments, it's an amazing book. We read it in my entrepreneur group, and everybody just loved it because it's really powerful. It's really powerful if you want to start something new. So tie your habit to an anchor, like your morning routine. If you drink coffee in the morning, that might be a time where you do your one little tiny step, right? Or if, like, when you wash your face or brush your teeth or whatever that is, you can tie that little tiny habit. So if it's a meditation practice, you can say, when I wash my face in the morning, I will stop and do a breath. Okay, that's a tiny habit. Or at night, when you're getting ready to go to bed, you can sit up in bed and say, I'm just going to take one breath, or I'm just going to say for today only, or I'm going to say one precept, whatever that is for you. Or I'm going to think about one thing I need to do tomorrow, whatever that is. Just tie it to something so that when you do your normal habit, you will be reminded instantly of your tiny habit that you want to do. And whatever that is for you, so I really can't say what your tiny habit's going to be. And I don't know what your routine is, but just think about it. When you're writing down your goal, when you're going through your 3 to 5 whys, why do I want this goal? Why is this goal important to me? And then you think about what is the tiniest thing you can do to get towards that goal. Then think, okay, what can I anchor this tiny little habit to? When you anchor it, it becomes a habit. So for me, after I had COVID, it was hard for me to get in shape. I was just so breathless and tired. So what I did was every time I went into the bathroom, I would do 2 wall push-ups. That's it. So every time, and you go to the bathroom at least 3 or 4 times. So I'm going in there and I'm getting at least 8 wall push-ups in. And I did that for probably at least a month because of my energy level. But I felt really good. I felt good in my arms. I felt good in my body. And it was just 2 of those push-ups. But I tied it to every time I went into the bathroom. If you go to a public bathroom, you can still do it. You can just use toilet paper and do it in the stall if you want. If you want to keep that tied to it, it's a really great thing to do. And then again, you just want to make sure that all obstacles are removed, right? That would stop you or get you distracted from doing what you need to do, right? So you always want to prepare the night before. Just remind yourself, remember, write it down. It's so important to write this down. And again, for me, I have a to-do list, but maybe for you, it's a sticky note. Just, work on whatever that is, whatever that tiny habit is. And now the third thing you should do in order to be successful with your goals is have an accountability partner. Now, what that means is that you have one person in your life, and hopefully all of you have that person in your life. And if you don't, you can always email me, but have a person in your life that says, how are you going on your goal? And then you can share, oh, this week I was really good. I, was consistent 7 days or 5 days, whatever, it's going to be 7 days. So like for your accountability, you want to say every Friday, every Thursday, every Wednesday, whatever day it is, I'm going to either text you or I'm going to email you, whatever it is. Here is what I did. And then your accountability partner will respond and say, great, that's a great idea. Or that's a good progress, or whatever that is, they're going to respond to you. And it's a quick thing. It's not like you're going to write loads and loads of things and then they're going to write loads back. It's just going to be a quick, hey, I stayed on my goal this week, and they're going to say back to you, great, or whatever it is. But again, it's very short, very just keeping you on track. There were studies that people who have accountability partners are 7.6 times more successful with their goals than people who don't have that. And I know this to be true because when I was in one of my entrepreneur groups with Dr. Benjamin Hardy, we were in what they called pods. And within our pods, we had to pick one person to be our accountability partner. Now, when we were doing that, we did daily check-ins. I don't advise that because daily check-ins, when you don't do it, on the day you don't do it, it makes you almost feel worse. Now, it might work for you. It did work for some of my colleagues in that group. But for me, it made me feel bad that I missed a day, right? Because you're human. You're going to miss days. You're not a robot. It's okay to mess up. The most important thing for you to do is go, yeah, I messed up, but I'm actually back on track. I'm doing it. This is really important to me. So again, that goes back to your whys, right? The only way you're going to stay motivated and on track with your goals is to stay really clear on your why. Why am I doing this? Why do I want this? So when you're sharing it with your accountability partner, you can say, hey, this week I did my tiny habits for 7 days in a row and I'm feeling really good about that. And they go, great, perfect. And then the next week, maybe you keep the same, but you can tell your accountability partner. Be sure to tell your accountability partner when you ratchet things up. You can say, okay, next week, though, in this next week, I'm going to do 10 minutes, right? Or whatever that is. Maybe it's only 6 minutes instead of 5 minutes. Just do what you feel comfortable with, right? Don't push yourself. That's really important. And Dr. Benjamin Fogg talks about this. It's really important. Don't push yourself. It's okay to start small. Everything starts small. Every single expert out there started small at some point. They didn't go from novice to expert in a week or 2 weeks or even a year. So give yourself that space to make this a foundational change. And so then you tell your partner, yes, I'm going to ratchet it up, or I'm going to do whatever they're going to do, so that they know at the next week, maybe to ask you a question. How was that? Or if you have something big happening, your accountability partner can then say, okay, great, that was fantastic. And you can be their accountability partner. So I would find somebody who is just as committed as you to creating a goal and seeing it through. And that may or may not be easy. And if it's not, seriously, reach out to me. I will find a day where I feel the space that I can at least respond and say, okay, make sure you're looking at your progress, because this is really important. And this happened in many entrepreneur groups I've been in. You look at your week, and a lot of them will go, yeah, I really didn't get anything done. And you'd say, okay, well, what did you do? And they would say, well, I did this. It's this. Okay, well, you actually did get a lot done. And that actually was a big week. And, kudos to you. So it's really important that accountability partner can say, when you say, yeah, it wasn't that great, they can then go, well, what do you mean? What happened? Right? You can get into it. So when you pick your accountability partner, kind of give them the foundation for this partnership, that you both want to be checking in each week. You both want to keep each other accountable, but you're also there to give each other support, right? You want to give each other that, hey, it's okay. So if, you break your diet or whatever, and you're like, yeah, I broke my diet, I ate this. It's okay. You're human. But the important thing is that you get back on track and you stay with that repetitive. And maybe you bit off more than you could choose and it kind of became overwhelming. So you just dial it back. You say, hey, this was a really hard week. I realize I can't devote 20 minutes a day to my goal. I'm going to go back down to 10 minutes a day, or whatever that is for you. So you just want to make sure that you're being really kind to yourself and that you're allowing yourself that space to be successful. And you might want to do a daily win. I mean, I'm so bummed. I had this really great journal. It was called Impact Theory. And it's the best journal, but they quit making it. And I actually just reached out to them to see if I can make my own journal. But the reason I love this journal is because it was a 2-month journal. And every day it said, today I'm grateful for. And you'd write down 3 things you're grateful for. My 2 top beliefs are, and you write your 2 top beliefs. So like for me, so one of the ones I used all the time was, all my problems are solved and everything always works out for me. Those were my beliefs. And so I put them down. And then you have a space for your important things that you want to get done. And then there's a space for potential roadblocks, right? So when we're looking at our goal and we look at, oh my God, this is how it's going to look when I succeed, you must, absolutely must look at why did I fail? So you look at your goal and you look, oh, wow, at the end of this, I'm going to be an Animal Reiki teacher. I'm going to have tons of students. And then I want you to look at, okay, you failed. It's 2025 and you failed. Why did you fail? The reason that's so important is you're not trying to beat yourself up. You're trying to trick your brain into looking for obstacles. Because if you're looking at the, oh, this is great, I succeeded, I am like on the top, I'm this great teacher, blah, 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 you're not identifying any type of roadblocks. So it's really important for you to take a moment, look at your goal, and look at it as, it's the end of 2025 and I didn't complete it. What happened? That will really help your mind to think differently. And you'd be shocked at what will come up for you. You'd be shocked at what your mind can really start to go outside the box and find for you. It's like, oh, well, you went to family dinners and you didn't prepare your diet. You didn't let people know what you were doing, or you didn't bring your own food, or whatever that is. You didn't set yourself up for success. So after a couple family dinners, you kind of threw your diet to the side, right? You want to make sure you're setting yourself up for success. Or like I ended the year not teaching any Animal Reiki classes. Why was that? Well, maybe you didn't promote yourself enough, or maybe you were promoting yourself in the wrong forums, or whatever that was. You are going to find why you failed. So I love this journal because it says, what are the potential roadblocks that are going to prevent me from getting my list done? And then you write that down. And then you write down a strategy. It says, what's my strategy and plan for the day? And then the next page is just all about your notes and your reflection, reflect on your day. Then at the end of the week, it has a weekly reflection. And the weekly reflection is this past week, I felt most alive when, which is really great, right? You're reminding yourself, I felt really alive when I did this. When did I struggle? What did I struggle with? And then what will I do better next week? And then the reflection on the week. And then your top 3 goals for the next week are, and this week I'm looking forward to blah. It keeps you in that energy of momentum, gratitude, and excitement for what the next week is going to bring. And then there was also at the end of each month, there is a monthly review. And at the monthly review, it's like, did I do the things I said I would do this month? What went according to plan and what didn't? What are the new things that I learned? This month, I'm going to leave behind like something, maybe toxic relationships or whatever that is. And then learnings that I'm going to take with me into my next month. Like, I learned that tiny habits were really powerful. And I'm going to continue to do that when I go into my next months. And then I will make the upcoming month even more fulfilling by doing blah, right? So this is a journal I'm going to try and recreate for myself, but these are really important questions. And I will write down these questions and put them out there for you guys, maybe in a PDF that I'll attach to the recap, because I think these are all really great questions that help guide you as you go on your path. And of course, I'll give Impact Planner and the theory group, Impact Theory, the full credit for this. But you just have to make it stick by doing daily reminders. Give out yourself visual triggers. This is really important. You can do a vision board, or you can have pictures of like you and animals together to remind you, oh, this is my path. This is why it's important. You can have a why statement, write a why statement and put it on your refrigerator, your vanity, whatever it is that you're going to see a lot. Have a progress tracker. You have your phone. There's so much you can do with your phone. You could put it on your wallpaper. You can have calendar alerts. You can have timer applications. But just remember, celebrate all your wins. Celebrate in however you want to do, but really just giving yourself claps, giving yourself a hug. Those are all really important things. And then, do your monthly reflections. How have I served animals this month, or whatever that goal is for you? How have I gotten closer to it? What peaceful moments stand out? Kind of like what I told you that the Impact Theory has. What small wins can I celebrate? So that's pretty much what I have. These are all tried and true ways that you can create your goal, or not create your goal, have your goal and create success at the end of 2025. And for me, 2025 is going to be, for all of us, our best year yet. And the reason for that being is I am going to really be focusing a lot this year on mindset. And I am going to be sharing that with all of you, because our mind is what is going to sabotage our progression. And it's really important for us to constantly remind ourselves that we are deserving of greatness. There is nothing about you that isn't deserving of greatness. And I want you to make bold moves. We're going to do the 21-day meditation challenge starting on January 16th. We're going to be releasing just a little 5-minute video every day that's going to have an animal, and it's going to be connected to one of the precepts. And then Kathleen has a special affirmation that's tied to that animal. And so we're going to be doing that starting January 16th. And where was I going with that? I don't even know. Oh my gosh, I lost my whole train of thought. But it's a great way to start your year. Oh, I know. So one of the ladies that made a video for the 21-day meditation, and I'm not going to tell you who it is because they all did amazing jobs. She was like, oh, I'm really glad you pushed me to do this. And we didn't push her. She volunteered. And then we kind of pushed her to, we need your video and it's going to be fine. It's going to be great. But she did a fantastic job. And I want to remind you, haters are going to hate. There's always going to be people. And I'm saying this for myself too. Haters are going to hate. What you put out, somebody might have a comment about, but somebody else is going to have something really good to say. And I want you to focus on the good, not the negative. I want you to push yourself to know that there are people out there who love you and believe in you and who want to hear from you. Every single person in this world has a tribe. You have somebody that when you say something, someone goes, "Oh yeah, I can relate to that. I am total that I can feel that when you say it," right? So I want to encourage you. I know I kind of talked so much, but I had so much to share. I'm going to open it up right now just for some comments. And I want to encourage you this year, comment, come on and speak and talk and share, because what you have to say, someone else needs to hear it. And a lot of times when I'm sharing with you guys, I need to hear what I'm sharing with you, right? I need to be reminded, oh yeah, haters are going to hate. Like, and I think that's one of the things about putting a blog out. I don't want people to criticize the way I write, or I don't want people to criticize what I'm saying, or I don't want people to disagree with me or call me a fraud, whatever that is. And I have to remind myself, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. There are going to be people who don't agree with you, and they're going to be really vocal about it. And that's okay, because there's going to be a lot of people who do agree with you, and they may not be out there saying about it, because usually most people who have really good things to say, they say it in their heart or they say it to other people, but they don't necessarily say it to you, which is why I was really grateful to Krista when she reached out and said, "Hey, I'm not going to be there today, but I just want to say how much I appreciate your Wednesday calls, and I'm going to listen to the replay." That meant so much to me, because it reminded me, I'm not doing this just for me or trying to win people over. I'm doing this because I want to share what I know and help support all of you. So I'm going to stop talking because I do want to do a meditation, and we might go a few minutes over, but I would love to hear from any of you. And you can just, I'll put it on gallery for right now so I can make sure I can see you. You can either put your hand up or you can just unmute and start talking. But I would love to hear if you have any aha moments, or you just are like, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to do. Or if you want to share, if you just want to share, this is going to be my goal this year, right? So I did it. I said blogs, but please unmute, say something. Yes, Nancy, please. Thank you.
Well, it was funny that you said you wanted to start blogging, because I have a blog too, which I haven't written a blog in probably a number of years now. And ever since I, did the training with Kathleen, and, been trying to get more into doing Animal Reiki, I thought, well, I should write a blog on what Animal Reiki is. And I have yet to do that. So I was going to say, that's just one post. So can my goal be really that? Like you're talking about doing micro, very small.
Really? Absolutely. So I love that. So let's break it down for you. So it would be, your goal is, okay, so that's your first step. I'm going to, and you write it down, I'm going to write a blog. That's your goal about Animal Reiki. And then maybe your tiny step is, I'm going to just pull up the introduction to Animal Reiki section of your manual, right? You don't even have to read it. You just open it up to the book every day. You open it up to that spot every day. And then the next one is, you're going to read it, right? And maybe you only read one page. Maybe that's your next tiny step. And then the tiny step after that would be, maybe you're going to read 2 pages, because I think it's like 3 or 4 pages in the level 1 manual, or the level 2 as well. And you can just decide. And then when it comes to writing your blog, right? So it's been like a month, you haven't even written a word, and that's okay. Now you can just write a sentence, or you can write a paragraph, whatever that tiny step is for you. And so that by the time 3 months comes, you have a blog. There's no rush. There's no deadline. So yeah, absolutely, you can do that.
Okay, good.
I love that.
Seems like a small goal, but for me, it's a huge thing.
There are no small goals, Nancy. And I'm so glad. Thank you so much for saying that. There are no small goals. If you have a goal and it's big to you, it's a big goal. It doesn't matter if it's big to me. I mean, like if you're Kathleen Prasad, who blogs and she has thousands of stories. I mean, yeah, one blog is not a big deal to her. She can write in her sleep. She's a prolific writer. I'm not. I don't know if you are. Maybe you are and you just have a block, but we have to be really kind to ourselves. This is the year of kindness to ourselves. This is self compassion year because the more self compassionate we are, the more joy and love we're going to be able to share. And we are going to end our year on the highest note, which is why I'm super excited for this year.
Well, while you were speaking, I was thinking, okay, well, if she just said it could take 3 months before I even published the blog, I was thinking, well, that would be awesome because when I take the workshop with you at the end of February, I think that would even motivate me more to come home and write something about that experience.
Yes, you will
And
be so motivated after spending time with the animals that care. And
yeah,
you're going to have so many different experiences that you're going to be able to put into your blog. So I think that's a fantastic goal. And even if you don't get it written right when you leave, you're going to have lots of ideas. And
yeah,
we can talk about that too then. But yeah. Yay.
thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, anyone else, I'm going to go back to gallery for a moment. Anybody else want to unmute and just come on and share anything? And please just feel free. Yeah, Claudia. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm how important it is to have your why, right? To have that clear. Because I've been struggling with weight for most part of my life. And I was obese. And I was like, yeah, I need to lose weight. It's healthier. I need to lose weight. But apparently that was not enough of a why. And then in 2020, when the COVID pandemic hit, they were talking about the COVID pounds, right? That everybody gained weight. And yeah, I was one of those people who would just sit there and eat because I was bored. And then I was like, no, I can't possibly gain more weight. That's just not healthy, right? I mean, if you're okay with your weight, like your friend, that's all fine. But for me, it felt not good, but still not enough of a why. Then I broke my ankle. But it was enough of a why to buy a spin bike. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do exercise. Never happens. Just stood here in my basement. And then I broke my ankle in August of that year. And I went to the doctor, how do you call it, osteopath, or the one who does broken bones. I'm sorry, guys, I'm Dutch, so sometimes have to look for the words. And it was so weird. So I was in his room, in his office, and there were people in other offices, and I could hear him talk to them. And one after the other, he said, well, it's not healing as fast as it should. And then he came to me and he said, well, it's healing perfectly. And I was like, what? And I was so grateful to my body at that point for helping me heal. So I was like, okay, so can I even, speed it up by using my bike? He said, oh, yes, please do. And that's when I first started to use my bike just as a thank you to my body. And from that, just 5 minutes, 3 times a week. From then it progressed and progressed and progressed. Once I was on my bike for an hour, 3 times a week, I was like, okay, now I need to eat healthier. And long story short, took me 2 years, lost 30 kilograms. Sorry, don't know how much it is in pounds, and never looked back, right? So, and what was the why? The why was I need to be grateful to my body and I want to support my body in being healthy, right? So the why was never to lose the weight, but just to feel better and help my body.
I love that. That's such a great example because you talk about the whole path and you're doing exactly what we were talking about, which I mean, minus the writing it down, but you like were okay, I'm going to start small, 5 minutes,
Yeah.
3 times a week. And then you built up to an hour. But again, your why, so important, right? It wasn't big enough to say, yeah, I need to lose weight. Yeah, I
No.
need to be healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Thank you so much,
And
Claudia.
let's just quick one. The haters gonna hate. So the same people who were always like, you could lose a bit of weight are now like, you're so skinny. And I'm like, whatever. It's fine.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that, because that's, I really hope, one of the things we take away this year. And it's something that a lot of the entrepreneurs and leaders are talking about, that you can't stop yourself from getting out there, because there's always going to be people who don't like you, or who are exactly like you just said, Claudia. They are like, oh, you're too overweight. Oh, you're too skinny. There's always something contradictory, right? So thank you for that. Thanks. So, and we have time for one more, and then we'll do a really fun meditation. So I don't know, Anne, if you wanted to say something. I know that you kind of changed. I don't know if anyone else wanted.
I stopped doing goals a couple of years ago. I don't do them. And so instead, how do I want to feel is what I asked myself. And the answer was, I want to be more in flow. So that's the why. And then as I ask myself, is this in flow? I get a yes or a no, because I shut off my thinking brain, because I believe that I know that the problems that were created by the thinking mind are not going to be solved by the thinking mind. So I released expectations. And when I did that, I am in more flow. And just the last Reiki support group we had, when we were doing the self-care, you know, on people, I realized, wow, I can do these spay neuter clinics, and I can give back to the veterinarians that you were talking about, the volunteers, and that is flow. So that's actually going to create what the next step is. So I don't even do to-do lists. I do maybe lists. And I look at my list, you know, if I end up doing one, and I just kind of go, okay, well, was this in flow? Yes or no? Then I continue to do that, what that is in flow for me, and I release whatever is not. But I do it in my meditations. So the information comes to me through my meditative mind. So I don't use any of those tools that you've mentioned, but that's just what works for me.
Well, and we have to know what works for us. And one thing that you said that I think is really important, that I kind of touched on earlier, is being in flow means there's not a lot of resistance. So of course, when you're starting something new, there might be resistance, right? But when you are in flow, when things are happening the way they should, things start to open up. And I can totally relate to what you're saying about not writing down the goals. So my goal was to go to Dr. Joe Dispenza's week-long retreat. That was a goal that I had since 2020, right? But it wasn't a goal I wrote down. It wasn't even anything that I was like, oh, I need to. But I was reading all his books. I was watching his videos. And then at the beginning of last year, I think it was February of last year, the opportunity came to go to the July retreat with my friend, Carrie. And it just opened up, right? It was the right time, the right flow. It wasn't like I was like, oh, okay, I'm really focused. But one thing I was focused on was, it was something I really wanted. Whenever I was listening to him or reading his books, I really want to go. I'm going to go to that 1 year. And it's just having that. And when the time was right, it happened. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, like Nancy was saying, you know, you don't have to do your blog tomorrow or anything. It can take time, because you want it to feel right. You want it to feel right within yourself. And maybe even, Nancy, you start with something that's not like an introduction to Animal Reiki. Maybe you just share an Animal Reiki experience that way, because I know something that stops me is like, oh, well, if I do this intro to Animal Reiki blog, that's my one and only chance to do an intro to Animal Reiki blog. So you might want to think of some different subject to start off with. And then after you go to the class or whatever, you're like, wow, I know a lot more. So actually my blog is going to be a little rich. Or you do the blog and then you add on to that blog. But that would be something to really think about too. But I totally agree. And you don't necessarily have to write your goals down. But if you're not, you have to be really in tune with your body like you are, and very aware of when there's resistance that's not like ego resistance, like, oh, that's too hard, you shouldn't do that, because you're going to have that. When it's more like, that really isn't the right path you need to do something else. So for instance, you know, when you're an entrepreneur and you start a business, like when I started one of my businesses, one of the cannabis businesses, it started off looking one way. It was like this, but I had to pivot and go to a different thing in order to be successful. And it wasn't like my original idea was bad. It was just, it was too early for the industry. So I pivoted over here, and that's something that could happen. You might pivot with your goal. Like, you know, what happened with Claudia, she wasn't writing it down. She wasn't doing, but she pivoted. Something happened that shifted her thinking. And when that happened, she started intuitively doing the tiny habits, just like I did when I started doing the tiny habits, you know, years and years ago with the Animal Reiki practice. So there are things that are going to come up that'll change you. This is just kind of an outline and a structure that you can follow if you have a hard time setting and realizing goals.
Yeah. Something
right.
that Nancy said also just clicked in my energy field, which is Yoda says there is no trying, there's only doing. And Nancy's like, well, I was going to do this. I'm trying to do this, but then I was only got this far. I'm like, there is no trying. So thinking about it is doing.
Yes.
Right. Like,
and even doing and stopping is
so
doing.
I don't use the word try because there is no trying. You're doing it by thinking about what it is that you want to pivot to. Right. Is that true?
No mistakes, because you're always learning. You're learning that maybe this isn't the right path, or maybe you're going about this a little differently. So like with Claudia, she didn't fail by not being able to lose weight. It just was the wrong why. She didn't have the right why. And she learned, oh, when you have the right why, it's much easier. So we're going to go through
doing it by not doing it. Like
right.
She told herself she wasn't doing it, she was doing it. Right?
Exactly. So Carolyn, I didn't know if, you just unmuted, and I want to give you time. Thank you so much, Anne. I wanted to give you time to share.
Hi. Okay, so while you've been talking, I'm going to turn my camera around because I scribbled these notes, and I have to figure out how to turn my camera around. There we go. So I did this. Okay, why? And I'm like, this is pretty big. It's not micro. Financially independent by working at something I love. Great. What do I love? I want to help animals. Okay. Less suffering, more peace. Okay. How am I going to help them? Continue writing my books, business, volunteer at an animal rescue, Animal Reiki business. Okay. Look at that. What do I have to do? I have to start it. Like I haven't started it. So it's like, start that business. Maybe an animal transport business, but it's kind of like I just scribbled this down while you were talking, and then I went over. I'm like, don't forget about self-care in the morning, and then do my goals in the afternoon. So, anyway, so
I love that. I love that because Amy Porterfield, who is an incredible entrepreneur, she does that same, almost exactly what you did. She does it with Post-it, right? So you put your main goal, and then you would put Post-its underneath, like, what's your why? And you start really drilling things down. And then you start to pick out, well, what really resonates with you? What's really important? Because again, we don't want to have too many goals, but the self-care actually could go in alignment with the Animal Reiki because be doing the meditations, right? Yes. Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Carolyn. Yay. Thanks. And again, Carolyn Drew, Drew. Check out her books on Amazon. They are so cute. And I'm really, I don't have one here with me. And I really thought I had one right here. I thought I had the tiger one, but I think I put them up in the closet. But check her out because she's got some really cute books. If you have children or if you do any children's classes, these are really, really cool and wonderful little books. So I know we're over. Thank you all so much for staying with me. I would like to do just a really short meditation to kind of wrap this up and bring it all together. So just want to make sure that everyone is on mute, and what we're going to do is just our regular breath. We'll bring our hands into Gasho, close our eyes to close out all outside distractions, and we'll set our intent that we're open to receive whatever it is that we need most at this moment in time. And let us take a moment to open ourselves up to all support we have energetically from animals, from our friends, from people who have passed, our angels, our guides. Just feel that beautiful energetic support surrounding you. And whenever you're ready, you can bring your hands face up or face down on your lap. And I want you to focus on your breath, breathing in deeply through your nose, pulling your breath deep into your belly, and then slowly releasing your breath out your mouth or your nose, making sure your out breath is just a little bit longer than your in breath. And this is just a nice, slow, even breath, making sure that you expand your breath at your belly, and then slowly release your breath. And just feel the tension start to leave your body. Feel the peace start to settle in. Feel your shoulders relax, your throat soften. Just your whole body starts to get softer and more relaxed as any stress leaves your body with your out breath. And whenever you're ready, you can bring your breath to just a nice natural state. And I'd like you to bring your non-dominant hand to your heart. Just bring your non-dominant hand over your heart. And you can repeat these affirmations after me, but we're going to give ourselves just a moment to feel it in our body. I am deserving of greatness. I am deserving of a life of ease. I am deserving of love. I am capable of doing hard things. I am capable of meeting challenges with ease and peace. I am a capable person. I am deserving of love. I am deserving of a life of ease. I am deserving of peace. Today, I leave my past behind me. Today, I let go of anything that no longer serves me. Today, I allow my heart to guide me in my actions. Today, I focus on love and peace. And whenever you're ready, bring your hands into Gasho at your heart and give thanks to yourself for being here and being open to this meditation. And give thanks to all who joined you. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring yourself back into the room. And I want to thank you all for being here, for being a part of this beautiful community. Thank you so much, Joy. Thank you, Anne. Thank you all, Nancy. Carolyn, thank you so much. Claudia. Pat, thank you so much for being here. Emily, thank you. And Alice, thank you so much. Happy New Year. T, Michelle, thank you. Happy New Year to all of you. Pat, Diane. And I will hopefully see you next week. We're going to talk about breath next week. We're going to talk about how our breath can instantly bring peace to our bodies, how breath can help animals around us, how breath can help us during difficult situations. And what I'm going to teach you is super easy peasy because you know me, I'm all about ease. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to have Scarlett Raven come back and talk to us on how we can use the energy of heaven and the universe in our everyday lives. And she is just so magical. She has manifested so many incredible things. And so she's going to be talking a lot about that. So I hope you can make it. And thank you so much, Joy, that makes me emotional, because I really am appreciative that you're right. These types of communities are really important to us, especially as we go into 2025. And don't forget, reach out to an accountability partner. If you don't have one, reach out to me. I will find a day that I can be a partner with you. So good luck on your goals and being open to it. And thank you so much, everyone who contributed. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Yes, 2025 is our year to thrive. I really feel this in my bones. No matter what is happening out there, you guys, no matter what is happening politically, it doesn't matter. Oh, really good movie for you guys to watch. It's called Happy. It's about how you can be happy no matter what your circumstances. And one of the most profound stories is of a man in India. And he lives in, it's not even a shack. It's like he has like almost fabric walls, and he has a family and children, and everyone is happy. And I had the rare opportunity to work for billionaires. I worked for one of the richest families in the world. And let me tell you, they were miserable, absolutely 100% miserable. They could do anything at any time. If they wanted to go to the North Pole tomorrow, they could. If they wanted to go to any concert in the world and have front row tickets, they could. They were miserable. Money, opportunities, they do not make you happy. What makes you happy is yourself. And that is going to be our theme for 2025. We are all going to be looking within. And I'm so excited. Nancy's going to be at my Animal Reiki for Reiki practitioners at the Care Foundation. And I'm telling you all, if you haven't done that, you need to go. I think Kathleen is also doing a class the week before for teachers. So go to Care, because it is life-changing, and it's really going to set your year. And I love going to Care at the beginning of the year, because it really gives you the strength to get through everything. So thank you so much, you guys. Love you. And I will see you hopefully next week. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Happy New Year.